This man does this for free with his own time. All he asks is for you to give him a follow. So take the time to do that right now. Both players have settled up. Brandon on 6, Logan on 7. Brandon on the play. We'll see if this has an impact on the game. Both players leading off with Skylands. And the thought seeds, and Logan just literally vomits his hand onto the board. It's a pretty good hand out of Logan. We see Cycler, 2 counter spells, Azorius, Detention Sphere, and the Win Condition. So if you're looking to poke a hole in this plan that Logan has, it'd be to take the Win Condition. But you're not excited to leave him with all that other stuff in his hand either. Azorius Charm not its best against the creatures in Brandon's deck that has pro white, or the creature in Brandon's deck that leaves behind a token, but it's definitely good against card Desecration Demon, and at worst it can be a cycler for Logan. So we're probably going to see the D-Sphere hit the bin, and that's what happens. This will free up any creatures or Underworld connections that Brandon gets in the future. Of course, you can't cast an Underworld connections right now with the mana that he's established. Logan going to go ahead and enter turn cycle this Charm. Go ahead and shock himself so he can play the Syncopate for 2 or the Dissolve that he has in his hand. Oh, thank Logan even won. Well, right now, Alex picture is upside down on the wall because some cool guy did that. Logan going to follow up his Shockland with a Scryland the next turn. There's the Desecration Demon, and if you're willing to cycle the Azorius Charm, you might as well be using the counterspell on here. As if you're not going to save the charm for that, you've got to plan for it anyway. He gets to fire off and Syncopate for 2. These are all counterspells that Brandon knows that were in Logan's hand. So while you're not disappointed to get to counterspell 12 power worth of dudes from Logan's side, you got to be worried that Brandon has an Obsidat or a Blood Baron in his hand, and sure enough he does. And there we get to see cards that Logan's drawn dissolve somewhere in those past 3 turns. And now the question is, does Brandon have anything left to try to punch through with? There's a good one. We're going to put Underworld Connections on a Plains. Have not seen a... well, we've seen one Detention Sphere out of Logan. We'll see if he's found another one. He's going to take the time to read Blood Baron of the Scopa. There's nothing in your deck that can kill it except for Supreme Verdicts and Elspeth, so... D-Sphere, the Underworld Connections, I'm going to go ahead and get them to move that life. Move the life total thing down just a little bit. Move the life total thing down just a little bit. Thank you. Yep. So we can get the life totals on the screen, as my lazy butt has not been keeping track of this. Brandon's been doing some thought seizing and activating of Underworld Connections to himself. Logan played a Shockland. That has us where we're currently at. There's the Detention Sphere that we saw from Logan. Probably double checking that Blood Baron to see if it was safe just to go ahead and fire this off on the Underworld Connections, as it does not hit Blood Baron. And now 5 mana Pack Rat might be taking over this game. Brandon looks like he has about 3 cards in his hand, can activate this Pack Rat once. Chose not to play the Swamp just to be able to discard it to Pack Rat. Logan pausing during this activation, hinting that he might have a Last Breath in his hand, but that no longer does anything. Here comes an attack for 9. Brandon having the discipline. You don't want to commit too much anyway to the pack rat against the D-Sphere and Supreme Verdict deck. But now Brandon's also in the position where if the removal that Logan has to deal with these pack rats is Detention Sphere, he can respond with a Devour Flesh, obviously. And he doesn't have one. I was about to say, if Brandon has a Devour Flesh or Ultimate Price in this situation, he can kill the pack rat that the Detention Sphere is targeting. It'll save the other 2. And it'll let him keep a couple rats around and keep the pressure on. But instead, all the rats go away, and we get a Jace -2. Logan casting the Thoughtseize, going down to 8, taking the Hero's Downfall. No, the Hero's Downfall hitting the Elspeth. Hitting the Jace. In response to the Thoughtseize. I'm getting this right. It's very interesting. I don't know if Brandon had the removal spell in his hand whenever that Detention Sphere came down. But if he did, it seems like he missed a prime opportunity. It wouldn't have been lethal. It would have only been for 9 on the next attack if it was that Hero's Downfall that we saw the next turn. Or the same turn. Yeah, that was the same turn. Wow. That's something I'm interested to talk to Brandon to about this match. But more importantly, this Jace is slowly ticking up. Here comes an Elspeth. We see one Hero's Downfall in the graveyard from Brandon. Here comes the Thoughtseize. This might just be a value Thoughtseize, as Brandon knows that he's up against the ropes here, and Logan's not going to let him have it. Looks like we have an Orzhov Guildgate come down from Brandon. Going to get in for 3. Brandon falling down to 12. More importantly, Logan getting a lot of value out of his Planeswalkers. We should be moving on to the next game soon. We could obviously have Bellblight. Oh, Brandon's found a Hero's Downfall. Unfortunately, he's still in a 2-turn clock. Like I was originally getting to, we could have a Bellblight here for the tokens. That would put the board back at parity, but obviously Logan ahead with the Jace. Ultimate Price going to take down a Soldier token. Jace going -2 after the fact. That couldn't have been the proper order of operations. Take the Rev. Seal the game. All that's left is how much abuse does Brandon want to take here? I don't know who Jizzo is, but just as As a piece of advice, we're not going to call the people that are playing for fun in front of you names. If you'd like to do that, you can go somewhere else. Logan going to rev, go back up to 15, restock his hand. Like I said, we're here as long as Brandon wants to put up with the abuse. Brandon going to drop down to 3, dead on board. Playing Aetherling for good measure, and that was the final straw. So Logan going to go up a game here in the finals at Lost Legion Games and Comics for our Friday Night Magic. Just one more to go. So Brandon almost got there off mulligan to 6 last game. He was basically,
What's Jonathan Wright doing in the chat? Why is he not here playing?
I think he played at Huntington this evening. He played Modern up there. He was basically one counterspell too many from Logan. So we see a hand of a lot of interaction and a Jace. So we take the Jace, basic swamp, and there's the Pithing Needle. Don't know what that's going to name. I guess this early in the game we're naming Pack Rat, as we didn't see an Elspeth from Brandon last game. Pithing Needle and Pack Rat isn't the worst thing in the world.
Is that what your name?
I have no idea. I'm assuming so, since it was.
What's your needle, Logan? Pack Rat.
Since it was that early and that quick of a play, but he follows it up with an elixir.
I barely knew.
Elixir. Barely knew her. So, this is a matchup that you can bring in Revoke Existence from Brandon's side. So his Pack Rats aren't under the gun for the entire match, but don't know if he has Revoke in his sideboard and if he brought it in here. But there is the King of Oreskos, Ramounds himself. Brandon making the joke of Logan siding in Dark Betrayal, and here's his white creature. Regardless of, with the exception of one creature, Detention Sphere is going to kill everything in your deck. So, suck on that, Bermaz. There's a good one. Desecration even against the blue-white decks is always how they want to play with it. Here's the Dark Betrayal.
Dark Betrayal is an instant, right?
Yes. And if we see an opposite here out of Brandon, Logan might feel quite a bit foolish.
I give Brandon credit for playing Lorwyn Tutsies.
I think those are the Thoughtseize that are not in the best condition because they belong to a certain Adam Vickers.
So is that Sphinx's Rev and Faded Retribution?
Yeah, and we're ways off from casting Faded Retribution. He needs 2 more lands and one of them to be white. We're going to get in with the Mutavault. Guess we have nothing better to do with 4 mana. And there's a 1/1 for 2 mana. To be fair, Brandon does have the Revoke in hand. That was the correct sequence of plays, and we're going to see what he has. There's the Elspeth and the Hero's Downfall. So we'll take the Elspeth and leave him with nothing, as we know the last card in Logan's hand is Faded Retribution.
It might have been like a Last Breath or a something, but I thought it was Faded Retribution. I'll just turn on the hand camera, check.
Oh yeah, the last card in Logan's hand is Faded Retribution.
Okay.
100%. I was talking about Brandon could possibly have revoked his existence in his hand, and his order of plays was right for the runner, not the pack rat after the Mutavault attack. Pack rat under the Pithing Needle does not stop at getting buffed from the Mutavault, so that's an attack for 4. There's a revoke on the Pithing Needle. Nope, there's a revoke on the Brimlaws. As we know, the last card in Brandon's hand is a Hero's Downfall, and he must not want to discard that for some reason. Seems like a good card in this matchup. So we'll go with the guy that immediately adds 4 power to the board.
And Logan's on 6 mana here.
He's on 6.
So he needs to draw. Does he have 3 white sources?
Yeah, he has the white sources now.
Just needs another land.
He needs another land.
So
and
he's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here. Right?
He's going to take 8 here.
From the token.
He's going to take 4 from the Brimlaws and 4 from the Pack Rat and Mutavault.
Oh, if he makes a token.
He can't. That's under the Pithing Needle still.
Oh, that's right. He revokes the D-sphere.
Yeah.
So Logan's fine. He just needs to draw land.
He needs to draw land. Verdict. Jace does not do very well here.
Now I can't draw a verdict.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can make it 9. Which helps us out with a Jace, if that's the card that Logan kept on top. It's also dangerous. I mean, the Mutavault isn't the best thing. Obviously, it'll be there the following turn, but he can't attack with Mutavault this next turn because if Logan plays a 7th lane and passes, the Fated Retribution can just kill everything.
Yeah. I don't think Logan can come out of this.
No.
I mean, he definitely can't do it if he didn't draw a 7th land, but...
Oh, he kept the card on top from his scry.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. He thought about it for a while and did all of his counting and then kept his card on top.
Logan's hand is 3 D-spheres. Alright guys, so here's the decider, 1 game away from determining the March FNM champion here at the store. It's actually a pretty significant amount of prize on the line in this game. Logan succumbing to Pack Rat and Mutavault beatdown in game 2.
Pack Rat under Pithing Needle. Mutavault beatdown.
Yeah, still gets big. And there's the elixir.
Still only barely newer though.
There's a turn 2 Pack Rat.
Also the Mutavault too. There's a D-sphere. So it's obviously an explosive start for Brandon. We'll see if he kept a hand that can follow it up with anything. Basically, he's into duress. Doesn't look like he's going to be playing anything else this turn. Might attack with that Mutavault. I see a hand of Rev D-sphere.
Kentucky won.
So I'm going to untap with 4 lands in play and have the option of D-sphere and 2 Sphinx's Revs. We've seen Brandon leave in some interactive cards that aren't creatures. So he probably is priced into taking this detention sphere here, as he might not have a lot of gas left in his hand. Logan gets to keep the Revs. He can't cast them yet, but who would want to cast them for 1 anyway? There's a Brimlaws. Logan draw a counterspell? Does not seem so. And the second Meter Vault, so we're going to be able to bash for 8 next turn. Logan goes ahead and revs for 1. Still has the other one in his hand. He's found a Hollow Fountain, so we know his hand is Sphinx's Revelation, Mystery card. Brandon should not have to commit anything else to this board until Logan makes a move.
It's just so tough to beat the double mutable draw.
Especially as these Esper decks do not run Last Breath. And they usually take out their Doom Blades in the matchup where they would only have up to 8 targets.
And since he's Esper too, he's not a Quick and Supreme Verdict deck, is he?
Well, you never know with Logan Cutlip.
I don't. That's why I say that with a question mark at the end.
Yeah, I'm getting like 12 targets with Taco Bell.
That's a good number of them to get.
One black white lands. He has enough to cast his Rev now. But he's limited to 1 dissolve a turn. Here's an attack for 9. Get you. It's going to take a very specific draw from Logan to get out of this.
It's going to take a Verdict and Pithing Needle on Mutavolt.
Rev for
2.
2.
He's dead on board. I guess another Rev would buy him a turn. He is facing down 10 power of attackers with the extra token.
Yeah, anything out of Logan's deck that isn't a land at this point can buy him an extra turn.
Well, Counter Magic's dead.
Correct. Great pass, so Logan's not missed a land drop yet.
He set 5 mana aside. I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. If you're Brandon, you just have to make him have it.
The question is if you want to throw your Mutavots in there too. Brandon says it doesn't.
Just take 6.
The following play here is an Obsidat. Brandon's in very good shape. And Brandon's in good shape regardless, but even better if he can throw away a creature that doesn't die to Spring Break. Got the mana for it now.
If you have an Elspeth here, there's an argument to cast it, because then he can't Sphinx his Rev on his turn, on your turn.
So there's 3 of the 4 detention sphere, or Sphinx Revs. I think Logan did shuffle 1 back into his library, so he's got 2 left to draw to. Basic Swamp. I don't know what the mana base requirements are that you're running a Basic Swamp.
Seems wholly unnecessary. If this was a Path to Exile format, then maybe, but
Usually the basics you see out of the Esper deck are 4 to 6 islands and maybe up to 2 planes, depending on how many dual lands they want to run. So let's look at the card here. If he has Fated Retribution, he's going to want to fire it off on Brandon's turn. Good game.
oh, just packs it in. Alright guys, it's very late, so I'm going to leave immediately. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.